again, everybody. Okay, so I had some leftover paint from my last attempt at a cloud pour, so I thought I would try another. I have altered the recipe just a little bit. I've just kind of been messing with it. So what I've done is I've made up some more white, which is the Flow Acrylic and the DecoArt, oh my god, satin enamel. I went a little bit heavier on the satin enamel. These are all the same paints, except for these two, all the same. But what I've done, just for fun, to see what happens, is I have added a healthy squirt. That's all I can say. I didn't weigh it, but a healthy squirt of the Vallejo Gloss Fluid Medium to all of these paints. And then what I did to this primary magenta from the last one is I added a little bit of DecoArt Extreme Sheen in the pearl, just to see if that brought up any interesting cells and stuff. And then the gold that, the gold that I had here, I added a little bit of Extreme Sheen Peridot, which is green. It's actually not really gone green. It looks more kind of antique gold, maybe brassy now if you compare it to the yellow gold. So I'm going to give this another try. This, again, another piece of MDF, same as the other piece. This is slightly bigger. This is 14 inches across. So 35 centimeters maybe. Not so good with centimeters, but 14 inches across. I'm going to put it in this cup, and I'm going to do I'm not going to layer it in exactly the same way. I'm just going to kind of randomly put it in and just, again, see what happens. But I will start with a small amount of the white in the bottom. Just see if I can get that center white, which is really quite pretty. This is the Amsterdam Prussian Blue. This is the Quinacridone Violet. This is actually the Payne's Gray, and I blackened it down a little bit. I added some Artist Loft Flow Acrylic in black, just to darken it a little bit. I wanted it a little darker than it was last time. I really, really love Payne's Gray. It's one of my favorite colors. But I wanted it darker and less gray, if that makes any sense, even though I chose Payne's Gray. Not so sure about this bright pink color. Kind of maybe preferred it when it was a little bit more muted, but it completely got lost in that other pour I did, so I just wanted to spice it up a little bit. I'm also going to put a couple more white layers throughout the pour, just to see what that does, just to bring some satin enamel through the middle of the pour as well, instead of just putting it at the kind of bottom of the cup, which will then bring it out last, and also underneath as well, and pour into a little puddle. So yeah, as you can see, just very random layering of colors. I don't actually want to put that next to the white because I don't want it going super light pink, which it has the tendency to do. As I said before, beautiful color. One of my absolute favorites. This blue, actually, this metallic cobalt blue from Artist Loft is also one of my favorites. It's just so vivid and pretty, and just the sparkle it gives on the canvas or whatever it is that you're painting on is really quite magical. I technically need about, let's see, about 7 ounces maybe ish of paint. All of these are quite thick because I wanted to see, especially with the putting the Vallejo in, see whether it helped it kind of maintain its rings and make it a little bit more defined. Just because of the thickness and the fact that it's a gloss medium sometimes helps to I find helps to kind of maintain each paint's integrity a little more and stop them from muddying quite as much, because I don't know why. Maybe it's the glossy coating that, you know, makes them slip against each other instead of mixing together. I'm not sure. I'm sure that there are many people out there who completely understand what each medium does. I'm really just learning, so it's all still a little bit of a learning curve for me trying to figure this out. But it's all just about mucking about and trying different recipes and seeing what works for what paint, I think. I've not found a pouring medium recipe that is my ride or die per se. I do like the glue medium. I find that works really quite well if you're looking for a lot of cells, but I don't like that as much if I am doing ring pours or trying to do cloud pours. I find they, even though I'm really not very good at cloud pours, I find they tend to, whoops, there's a lump in there, I'm going to get that right out. They tend to muddy a lot faster, quicker, better if they have the if they don't have Floetrol and they just have the glue and water. Goodness, I'm terribly rambly today. It's just awful. I should maybe not have done a second video because I'm so rambly, but I figured, you know, if I'm gonna paint, I may as well video it now that I've taken the small foray into videoing my stuff and letting people see what I do. I figured I may as well just show people what I do, whether it's good or bad, and you know, it's hopefully that can be a little bit more of a learning experience for everybody, myself included, obviously, to you know, learn about little concoctions that work and don't work, and you know, yeah, I think anyway, stop rambling. What have I got? Stories to tell. Oh, I bought a new car yesterday. I'm actually really quite excited about it. It's quite lovely. Stupidly expensive. I mean, it's just a car, but it was yeah, pricey. Little bit of white on the top, but it's fast, and I'm hopefully, it's the first brand new car I've ever owned, so I'm just kind of excited about that, really, even though the second I drove it off the lot it probably depreciated by, you know, $30,000, but what can you do? Hopefully I will drive it until it breaks, and then we'll be good. All right, sip of tea. Excuse me. All right, I'm going to put down, I don't have as much of this left as I thought I might, but I am going to put a blob of this in the middle of the painting with still a little bit left there if I want to go. Actually, I'll put a little bit more. With still a little bit left if I want to go around the outside. I'm going to go small torch, just get these bubbles out of here. And whoopsie, goodness. Sorry everybody, apologize for the loud noises. All right then, I think I'm going to just straight pour this. I'm going to try really hard not to jiggle it, although I find that I some kind of naturally tend to jiggle anyway. So good luck, everybody. I'm going to try and go relatively slowly, but I don't want to jiggle too much because I'm going to really try to not muddy the colors as much as I can. Oh, I just have such an unsteady hand, it's ridiculous. I'm going to stop talking for a second. Oh, it's lumpy. I see all sorts of lumps dropping in there. That's disappointing. Not very good mixing, clearly. Either that or the stir sticks I used I'd left sitting in the paint for a little bit, so they'd gotten themselves a little bit of a skin, I guess, at the top where they'd been sitting in the paint. And so I guess that I wiped the stir sticks off into the pour without really thinking about lumpy outsides. All right, let's just keep going here. Not sure how this is going to turn out, especially because it's so lumpy. I'm going to be digging a lot out with my tweezers. All right, I'm going to jiggle it very slightly here because we're down to the white at the bottom of the cup. So I'm going to give this a little jiggle. See if I can get myself some cool little patterns down in the middle here. And then I'm just going to see how these paints and these mediums react to one another. Okay. Let's stop this. It's actually pretty thick paint. Hopefully it's not too thick. And it's rolling that way. I think my workbench is fairly straight, but you never know. There's quite a few bubbles in there. And I'm just going to move it very slightly this way. Put it back down there. And then I'm gonna thin this paint, this white that I have left over, with just a little shot of water, just so that when I put it around the outside, it becomes kind of something that the paint can glide and slide over, maybe, hopefully. That would be the general plan of action. Just so it's not quite as thick. Take off that lumpy bit though. I don't want any more lumps. And then I'll put it around this back side. First. And then hopefully that will mean a little bit less, what's the word, struggle for the paint to get over the sides, and that it will just flow nicely and evenly. I will kind of smooth this out just with my stir stick, just so that I don't have any, whoops, wasn't very good, so that I don't have any big blobs to get over. I like the word blob. I've been using the word blob an awful lot today. Any, you know, kind of skirts of paint that may or may not hinder this process going over the edge, because I would really like to just allow it to flow nicely and easily over the edge. That's really what this white paint is there for. This white paint is not there for effects or you know, clouds or anything like that. It's just to give this paint in the middle here the best opportunity possible to get over the sides without having too much crazy stretching. All right, so I've killed off pretty much everything. One little tiny bit on the side here. Get that, I'm making a terrible mess down over here. Scrape that up off the floor maybe. Get that on there. It's slightly contaminated because that wasn't completely dry, but that's okay because we're going to roll over it. All right. So, again, a little bit muddled. I'm going to give it a little bit of a blast with the torch just to see if it opens up anything else. Okay. So not really a ring pour, as you saw, it was more of a straight pour. Well, it was a straight pour, it just came straight out. The colors up in this side are really quite beautiful. The colors down over this side, not so keen on, so I'm gonna go around in a circle just to open out the paint first, but I will probably err to getting it off that side more than getting it off this side, because this side is got some pretty stripy bits in there. So let's send it around the circle. I'll probably start to go off the edges. I don't want to do this too quickly. Just because I want to give it a little bit of time to settle in, but I can already tell that I'm really not liking this pink part. So I can see probably a fair amount of that coming off as I tip it around, but I have a lot of paint on here, so I've got room to tip, but I don't want to tip too much off this back side quite yet. Just want to roll it around close to the edge. Because there are some pretty things. I think maybe my layers are too thin, which is why, like, I need to have bigger blobs, I go again, bigger layers, thicker layers of color. I'm gonna have to take some off this back side. I wanna try capture, not that though. I'm gonna take a bit more off that back side. Bring it back to the middle. And then take it out this way. I'm trying to find some of that cobalt, and it's right about there. Back to the middle. This is quite cosmic, really. It almost looks like artwork for the Grateful Dead tour. Oh, shoot. Oh, goodness. I'm surprised I managed to curtail my language there. That was quite successful of me. I'm usually not that good at watching my language, that is. Oh my goodness, this is getting very slippy. I'm just going to straighten this up here and put it down right now and get some paint off the underside, because otherwise I'm just going to throw it around. Not sure about this one. Really not sure, and not sure about which direction to pour off, because it's bizarre. This isn't looking too unattractive anymore. I might end up bringing that out a little bit. I'm going to give it another little torch. Another little torch, she says, and torches for like 15 minutes. Okay. I like this part. There's actually a little bit too much paint on this right now, so I need to get some off. So I'm actually going to kind of walk it over this way a little. And then just try and get off that little bit there. And then correct it. And then walk it back. I hope you guys can see what's going on over here. I'm just gonna try and I think I'm getting all my things stuck to me. Ooh, slippy again. Turn it around a bit. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna walk it a little bit down over this way. Try and open up some of the lines on this side. Just slowly pull it back to the middle. Okay, and then push it down this way a little bit. Let's get off some of that. And then that will open that side up a little. Oh, I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm really dragging this about. I have no idea whether anybody can see anything. And then one last Oops. Where's my paint right now? There it is. So one last little bit over this way. And then I'm just gonna try for a little bit more of this pinky blue out of there. Okay, now I'm gonna bring it back this way again. I'm down to a pretty good coat of paint on the surface, I think. Doesn't appear to be too thick or too thin, I don't believe. Looks all right. And then one more little tip off this way. And then bring it back one last time. Center it up. And I think I'm gonna call that done. I think. Just gonna wipe off the bottom here. A lot of paint on the ground after this one, but too much paint in my cup. But on the flip side, it was nice to have that extra paint in the cup because it allowed me to move everything around really quite a lot. I had a lot of maneuverability with the paint because I had so much paint on the surface. And it's interesting again. It's interesting how, I'm not sure whether it's a combination of the satin enamel increase in the white. Oh, and I put some Liquitex. Shoot, completely forgot to say that. I put some Liquitex pouring medium, just the regular Liquitex pouring medium into the satin enamel as well. Completely forgot about that. Sorry, guys. So I did modify pretty much everything. Put some Vallejo gloss in the colors and then put some Liquitex in the white. Giving this one final torch. And then I'm just gonna leave it and see what happens. Hopefully it won't change too much because it's actually quite interesting and quite pretty. I'm still not loving this section here, but it almost looks like a flight of steps. But what I am absolutely loving is the definition around the white here with, I'm not sure whether it's the Prussian blue or whether it's the black or whether it's a combination, but it's super pretty. It could do with being a little bit more, what's the word? Oh my gosh, I can't think of anything. I think it's because I barely slept tonight. It could do with being a little more central. Not the same on both sides, but maybe a little more similar. I'm just gonna tilt it one last time. Sorry, I took my gloves off, so I'm just having to put on some other ones. I just wanna see if there's any way at all. I'm not gonna touch it too much, but just to extend this out just a tiny tad. That probably isn't, because I think I'm stretched pretty thin right now. But, whoops, my little sticky little doodads. Is to try to stretch it just a little bit more over this side to just even it out a teeny tiny bit, but I'm really not. Oh, I guess I am. I'm getting there. And then maybe down. That way. That just opens it out a tad more. Okay, and then I'm going to bring it back again. I'm going to try and keep it straight-ish so I don't get any super duper wiggly lines. But of course there's a bit of wiggle on this side versus the other side, which is beautiful and straight. So here we go, fiddling one more time. Stop fiddling, Lucy, stop fiddling. Fiddling will be the death of me. Trying not to lose that gold in the top, but I'm also trying to lose a couple of these wiggly lines because I'm not keen, come on wiggly lines. Okay, I wonder how that is. Okay, I think I've got some lumps in that side, because remember all of those that poured out of the cups. Okay, and now I'm going to try to keep it as straight as possible on my way back. And it's getting slippy again. So I think, even though I've said it 4,000 times, I'm going to call this one done. I'm going to turn it around so you can see it that way. Oh, dang it. I just blubbed my arm into it. Now it's messy up here again. Oh, Christ. Sorry, everybody. Come on, just a tiny bit. I don't want to wreck it. Okay, I'm wrecking it. Okay, it's going back. I'm gonna try really hard not to touch it this time. Okay, let's push that back. Now I'm out of paint on the surface, and I'm gonna stop because it's getting silly. Nothing I do to it now is really going to change what it looks like, because there's just not enough paint left on the surface, and I don't want to completely wreck what I have, because what I have is not bad again. Different, right?